Hello, welcome to Bluejay Chat. I'm your host, Nathan Meyer. Alongside me, as always, is Dr. John Sample. And John, we have a very special guest for May.
We do, and every time at this time of the year, towards the end of the year, we like to bring on Principal Shannon Murray, Merrill High School's principal, so that we can talk about probably the culminating event of every school year, and that's graduation and senior awards and those types of things. So, welcome to Shannon Murray.
Thank you, guys. It's good to be here.
Thank you for coming once again. This has kind of become our tradition to do it in May, and obviously last May we didn't get to do that. But before we get into how special this graduation is and all of that, John, let's go over the recognitions because I believe we had about 3 or 4 last night that were very special, obviously.
We did have some recognitions last night, and one of those being recognizing Megan Sherman. She secured a MEMIC Foundation grant to the tune of $10,000 for next year for technology for Kate Goodrich, and so that was very, very good to recognize that. You know, I was talking this morning that a lot of time and effort goes into writing a grant, and it seems like of the grants that we write, about 80% of those grants are denied. She put a lot of effort into this one, and it was not denied, but yet it was accepted. And so, very, very pleased with that. We also recognized Shannon, one of your students, our outgoing student rep on the board, and that is Levi
Black. Levi Black.
Levi Black was recognized last night for 2 years of service on the board. And then we've also got Isaiah Rell coming in as next year's junior student board rep. And so, yeah, fantastic stuff. And then I'm trying to think of our other one as I'm pulling up the agenda.
Yeah, my brain's a little foggy from last night, too. I can't remember exactly who it was.
Yeah, I was at a Youth Optimist, John, so I missed the intros. I was there for Levi's, but because Levi was with me at Optimist.
Yeah, and it was minimal recognitions last night. We did have a closed session, but we always try to recognize everybody that at the board level. It's a special thing, and so once I pull that up, I will make sure to mention that.
Absolutely. So let's talk about graduation. Obviously, last year's Shannon, it wasn't exactly what we wanted. We didn't get to do a Bluejay Chat with you and talk about that class. So let's just rewind the clock a little bit, go back to a good part of 2020 and how we could graduate those seniors and talk about them for just a split second so that we can give them that recognition.
Sure. You know, last year's seniors, I forget the date, John, and I was kind of thinking of this. When were we shut down last year? It's like the March 13th. It seems to ring a bell somewhere in there. So
Friday, March 13th was our last day of a regular school day, and then everything kind of shut down after that.
Yeah. So for all of us at every building and every district, and we were forced to kind of do things very, very differently, and that impacted last year's senior class. And so, you know, instantly graduation was off. And, you know, we were talking about this earlier, that at that time on March 13th, you know, we weren't sure if this was going to be a 2-week deal or, you know, whatever. Nobody dreamt it would have the staying power that it did. So it became very apparent very quickly that, you know, things like prom, graduation, all those kind of things were going to be either canceled or look very differently. We kind of kept putting off our graduation later and later and later because of where we were in the world with COVID. We ended up settling on a July date and had it outdoors in our parking lot. And that was something that I think Dr. Sample and I would both agree that we don't ever really want to do again, a parking lot graduation. But it was okay. I mean, for everything that we had to deal with and work through and the conditions that we had to kind of follow, I think that was good. You know, thankfully it was a nice day, and we were still able to honor our graduates that way. We did have a drive up diploma, get your diploma right at the end of the school year on time, on graduation, what was supposed to be graduation day. Some people in the community put together a parade honoring our graduates that that parents kind of put together last year because we couldn't do a school function parade. So I think all things considered, we did pretty good for our seniors last year, considering we're in the midst, at that time, really in the thick of a pretty serious pandemic. And but I'm very, very, very happy that we are not doing a parking lot graduation anymore. That was Plan B.
Right. And obviously last year it was such a weird time, John. And just to reminisce just a year ago how thick in this pandemic we were. And now we're to the point where, things are starting to somewhat get back to normal. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And in fact, at last year's senior awards, Mr. Murray, I believe you were on stage by yourself and announced it that way via virtual senior awards night.
Yeah, we did a virtual senior awards night last year. It was basically a PowerPoint that I narrated as we went. We live streamed it, and that again was kind of Plan B, but it was important that we recognize those students and their accomplishments. And I'm happy that we were able to still do those kind of things and honor and recognize those students that have earned those accomplishments. Same with graduation, and I'm just happy that we were able to put together something for them. But I'm also happy that we're getting back to the normal way, and I think so are our students and families.
Yeah, I would say the staff here is definitely glad we're getting back towards the normal way too. So, real quickly, let's talk now this year and kind of the culmination for these seniors. First off, we got prom on Saturday. Talk a little bit about the process going into prom for this year, because it's obviously a lot different from previous years still.
Yeah, so we had pretty early on, we determined that we would push our prom date back as late as we could in the school year. We were really hopeful and really wanted to give our students a prom this year, because the seniors, of course, this year's seniors didn't have a junior prom, and our juniors, potentially would not have a junior prom this year. So we really wanted to try to come up with something for them to kind of build that normalcy back in. So we started by moving the date way back. Normally it's in April. And so we tried to buy ourselves some time to see what things were looking like as the school year evolved. And things were and are looking optimistic and hopeful. So, it was kind of trending in the right direction. So we felt good about moving that date. And then we looked at alternative ways to do things, including renting a giant tent for outside, and have an outdoor prom in this tent. And then as we got closer and closer, it was decided that Dale Bergman, who's our buildings and grounds director, we had a discussion, and he shared with us that this tent concept is a good idea, but our field house is way, way, way bigger than any tent we could rent, and so we could space, and we have really good ventilation and those kind of things in there. So we felt comfortable and safe having a spaced indoor prom, and so we are doing an indoor prom in our field house as we have in the past, and we're excited for that. And that's coming up on Saturday. The only real restriction, well, two things. One is that prior to the change in the mask policy, we did have students sign an agreement saying, I agree to all these things in order to go to the prom, including mask requirements, and if I'm quarantined, I can't come, and all these kind of things, because that's the world we live in right now. And that was a new thing for us to do. But students were willing to sign off on all those things and have their parents sign off, which is great. And so, but the only real significant change is we're limiting the tickets for parents to come to the Grand March to see their students, just because we still have to honor spacing requirements and capacities of the facility and all those kind of things. So we've limited the number of tickets that each prom attendee gets for the Grand March. It's 2. And so we'll still have a Grand March, and people can still come and take photos of their son or daughter, but it'll be far fewer because we got to spread them out and space them out and those kind of things. And that'll be true for all of our events yet this spring. But the prom's a go. It's supposed to stop raining on Saturday. That'll be the one day it looks like it's not going to rain in the next 7 days. And so it's supposed to be a beautiful day. We're we're fortunate to have a prom, and our kids are excited. And that will be like our first normal event in, a year and 3 months, something like that. So
Yeah, and obviously, I remember my prom. John, do you remember your prom and how special it was at all?
I went to a prom as a sophomore in college, so I was kind of between girlfriends. It was a big deal, and it cost a lot of money for a kid working at the gas station. So, but yeah, when I did finally attend a prom, it was very special.
Yeah, so obviously these kids are getting something special. All right, and then the next event, Shannon, that we're going to talk about today is Senior Awards Night. We mentioned last year's, obviously, this year's not having to do it virtual.
Yeah, and so it was interesting because we got some feedback from people that liked the virtual. That was very handy, and they really enjoyed that. So what we are doing, we're adding an element to the live show where we are going to have the screen down in the auditorium and present their pictures. This Bluejay has a plan slide. You're familiar with those, and so we're adding that to the show. So just to kind of enhance that a bit, which is great. And so yeah, so we've always had a really good, really big scholarship program and an awards program here in our community. We've had excellent support for many years, and so it's a great chance for our students to get recognized for their accomplishments, have their moment on the stage, and have people celebrate them. And so we're happy we're able to do that as well. The only big change on that one, again, is, of course, we're limiting tickets, unfortunately. You guys are live streaming it, which is great. And so I think everybody will get a chance to see it, and we have to kind of block off some or tape off some seats in the auditorium to encourage some spacing. But I think that'll go just fine, and that'll be another step towards normalcy for us, which is good. These seniors have had, our senior class, about a third of their career has been under COVID, and so of their high school careers, and so it's kind of like we really got to try to wrap this up good for them. And so I think, courtesy of Dr. Sample and Dale Bergman, we've come up with really good solutions to make these things happen, and we feel that we can provide these events in a safe and normal manner as much as possible. And if the only inconvenience is we have to limit seating and space people out, I think all things considered, we can all live with that.
Yeah, I think John, we can definitely all live with that, because if we were to do this 20 years ago, we wouldn't have had the technology available to us to do these live stream things.
Yeah. Right, absolutely. And there's a lot of people that really go into making this happen. Dale Bergman's been fantastic. Karen Baker keeps us up on everything coming out of Lincoln County Health Department. Lincoln County Health Department has done a phenomenal job in working with us as partners. So it takes a lot of people and a lot of effort. I was thinking about this past week of just the effort that we all have to apply to keep things as close to normal as possible. It's something that we don't want to do again, but we certainly are flexible, and we're not going to do any more high school parking lot graduations, but it makes us appreciate some of those things that we do have. So I'm really looking forward to some of these end of the year events. I will not make an appearance at the prom just because it's limited, but I'll certainly be there for Senior Awards Night and for graduation, and at BVA's graduation, which is going to be on Friday as well at 7 o'clock at the high school auditorium. So really looking forward, and I'm happy for our seniors and all of our students that are able to attend the prom. I'm super happy for them.
Right. And obviously we're talking here. So one more event happens before graduation, and it's new this year, John. The end of the school year happens Thursday instead of later on after graduation. Talk to us about how you're feeling coming into that, because I know personally as a staff member, I'm kind of excited for these students since they get this extended summer now.
They do. We've added minutes to our instructional day, and so being able to go virtual, and this past winter, I don't think we had any inclement weather really that caused us to cancel school anyways. And should we cancel, we're not going to miss any instructional days. And so it is going to be longer summers from now on. We can say with a high level of confidence that the last day of school is the last day of school. We can plan on summer school starting and ending on time that way. I think it gives our parents a little bit of peace of mind to know, and our staff, that they've got a nice long summer. Yes, they've worked very hard throughout the school year with the extended minutes, because all of those instructional minutes do add up. Summer school will begin on June 7th. And just real excited about transitioning with the end of the school year into summer. It's going to be refreshing, and if we all need a break too, we all need a break this summer, and so I know that that our staff and our students are going to appreciate it, and our parents.
Yeah, and obviously, Shannon, for you, having the seniors have to stick around for the entire time. Talk about the climate in the building right now, because obviously these seniors are going, well, wait a minute, we've got to stay the whole time when every past senior has gotten out before everyone else. Kind of talk to us a little bit about that and how the senior class has taken that with stride.
Yeah, so the seniors, we had a class meeting discussion earlier in the year, and that came up. And my counter to that was that they're getting out at the same time as they always have. So nothing has changed for them. Now, there's this symbolic part that so is everybody else. But I mean, so it's not like they're getting ripped off or whatever, however they couch that. And so I haven't heard a whole lot of that. We used to let our seniors out a couple days earlier, and that was an old practice that went back years ago to Lanny Tebaldo days, actually, and just kind of stuck. But now it's kind of like we do have instructional minutes, and we've shortened up the year, extended the school day, and so we don't have like this whole lot of wiggle room to let the seniors out a couple days early. And so they get out at the same time as they always have. And one of the spirits of the old model was so that students could start pursuing summer work, seniors, prior to June 1st and start work June 1st, and they still can. So really not much has changed for them other than maybe the symbolic notion of it all. So.
Yeah, and as I said, it's like to a few of the seniors I know, you're getting out at the same time, just everyone else just happens to be too. So
Yeah.
just gotta live with it and not dwell on it the rest of your life.
Yeah. Yeah, it works out. I will say, when there's a sense, and John can probably appreciate this district wide with adults and everybody, people are rolling with stuff really good. That people are flexible and deal with change really well. And the term we use around here is resilience. That has been incredible this year from every level of our district, from kindergartner, the youngest kindergarten student to the school board. I mean, people have really learned to roll with stuff really, really well, which is awesome.
Yeah, I would agree. And this senior class too, a board member said it just a few weeks ago that they are probably the most polite and kind group of students that we've seen. I think that's really what defines them, from the speak out with the mental health awareness and all of the wonderful things that they've done this school year. I don't get to interact with students as much as I would like, but I can attest to that as well. And I'm sure that you can too, Shannon, that this group of seniors is resilient, they're kind, they're polite, they care about each other, they care about themselves. And our staff and our parents and our students, you're right. They've usually, when the chips get down, it's a human-like behavior to feel sorry for yourself or whatever. Didn't see that this year. Everybody cares about everybody else, and everybody cares about safety and keeping our doors open and going the extra mile. So this summer will be very well deserved on many fronts.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. Yep. So now before we get to the piece de resistance, John, I'll have you do your question right now, and then we'll talk about graduation.
Sure. And one thing that's kind of unique about the relationship that Mr. Murray and I have is I've known him longer than any other administrator here, because he was at Wausau West when I was in the Wausau School District. And so, but the one thing I don't know is what makes Shannon Murray tick. What does he enjoy doing if he ever does get any off time?
That's a good question. So I enjoy spending a lot of time outside around my house, kayaking, pontooning, doing stuff around the house, that kind of stuff. I like being outdoors. In the winter, we enjoy snowmobiling, and we're about to be empty nesters, which is going to be going to be new for us. So I'm kind of a bit of a homebody, and I just kind of like to do things around the house. But I do enjoy snowmobiling, pontooning, and those kind of things. Kind of the Wisconsin cliche things, but that's what I like to do. Yeah.
Yeah. And Shannon is also a fellow Irmaite, I guess.
Yeah.
Armenian. And so we do have probably the prettiest areas in the county up by where we're at. And so, yeah, we share that interest too. I just like being outdoors, even if it's just tinkering in the yard, just to be outside and enjoy things.
Yeah. So in our area, I don't mean to extend the broadcast, but the term is the concept is terminal moraine, and I learned this from a WASA board member years ago. Montgomery was a geologist down at UWMC, but terminal moraine, IRMA, is where the last glacier ended, and so that's why we all these little pothole lakes and hills and strange ridges and IRMA Hill, because that's the glacier ended right there. So there's your trivia for today, Nathan.
That is definitely interesting trivia that I think all of our viewers will love to know too now, especially if you lived in this area for as long as some of us have and didn't even realize that. So,
yep.
All right,
so, yeah,
so
beautiful country.
Yeah, so the piece de resistance, every year we love it. Graduation, it's the culmination of 13 years of hard work. Shannon, let's talk about. We've already talked about this class a lot with how they are. Kind of tell us a little bit about the planning though for this graduation, because obviously there's still some differences from previous years, but it's not a parking lot graduation by any stretch.
Yeah, the biggest change this year, Nathan, is going to be that we still are in a pandemic situation, and so we have to honor our spacing of our facilities and those kind of things. And so we're going to have limited seating, and that's something we've never had to do at Merrill High School. We're blessed in this district to have really, really good facilities, including a very nice big field house. And so in the past, we've always been able to accommodate everybody who wanted to come. And I know of other schools, and John does too, where 4 tickets per graduate is the norm. I mean, that's the world that they live in. And so this is new for us. And so on the floor in the past, we've had the graduates, the staff, and then a fair amount of like seating for guests, parents and those kind of things. Because of spacing this year, the floor is just going to be graduates and staff. So we got to space everybody out 3 feet. And so that means all guests will have to be in the bleachers spaced out. And so we are limiting the tickets to 4 tickets per graduate, which has created some hardships for some families. We did start in response to some feedback we're getting from parents, we did start kind of like a graduation ticket exchange clearinghouse kind of a thing, because I am only may need 2 this year, so I can give 2 of mine away. And so we've been working hard to connect those things, and I think we're going to be able to satisfy just about everybody on that. So that's new for us. But then as far as like the actual ceremony itself, we're hoping to run it as close to normal as we always have. Mr. Josh Wilson is the keynote speaker that's been selected by students, and so he's a social studies teacher here, and we're looking forward to his message. Cameron Schultz is the student speaker, and I'm very certain she'll do a great job representing the class. And then, of course, all the rest of the pomp and circumstance that goes with that. So the only real big difference this year will be attempted spacing of families and limited seating. So.
And obviously, Merrill Productions will be live streaming that, so those that cannot watch it live will at least be able to see it virtually. And I think that's, John, one of the most satisfying things that we have is that we do have that virtual option still available to these families that either can't make the trip or just can't make it because of the limited seating that is available.
Yeah, and the virtual option always helps. I think we can compare it to Packers games and Brewers games. You couldn't attend a game in person, but you could certainly watch it on TV, and so it's the next best thing. I'm glad we have the technology and the capabilities to be able to bring graduation into it, at least people's living rooms.
Yeah. Is there anything else we want to talk about for this year's graduating class? I mean, they've done so well for us over the last 4 years.
Yeah, I will say that, I had mentioned earlier that about a third of their high school career was spent in a pandemic, and the group is really resilient, and they have leaned on each other. As Dr. Sample pointed out, they're kind, good people. But they've also kind of maintained a level of achievement through all this. And so we've got some students that are going on to do some really great things. Our graduation rate has been excellent this year. all things considered, and we talked to our neighbors, other districts, and other places, that have not been in school 5 days a week have really struggled with some of those things, and we're lucky that we have been in. So they've made it through. They really, we use the term normalcy kind of as a cliche now, but they had a pretty darn good senior year experience academically that kept them on pace. They're going to be ready for college if that's their path. They're ready for their careers if that's their path. And so, but they have leaned on each other a lot. And if you're a high school student and if you're a basketball player but nobody come and watch you play, that's a bummer. Or if you're, if you can't do this activity, or even our FFA meetings were virtual, which is mind scratching. But so, I mean, they had to really overcome a lot and just roll with stuff. And I think that's really going to help them as adults, just to be resilient and keep everything in context and be problem solvers. And more importantly, maybe most importantly, to have those skills to rely on each other or rely on their networks, to help get you through stuff. So this class has like a whole separate set of skills, courtesy of the world, that was thrust upon them, that that they had to kind of grow up and learn the hard way pretty quickly. But they did it, and we're really proud of them. They're really good people, and we're gonna miss this group. So.
And a little piece of trivia, not as good as the Glacier story, but this class, I believe, when you took over as principal, Shannon, they were 3 and 4 years old.
Oh, I didn't know. That could be. Wow. Thanks for making me feel old, John. Yeah. But that could be. Yes, I never thought of that.
That's okay. Shannon, when you took over, I was in 8th grade, so that if that says how old I also am with this class, it's
not. You had half the beard then, Nathan.
I had half the beard and all the hair on.
Yeah, that's true.
So one last thing that we kind of want to talk about too, because we do have a week left of school, Shannon. And it popped in my head when we were talking about how resilient and how good this group is. I do want to congratulate you personally, and your staff, obviously, and the students, for being one of the only buildings in the school district during this entire year that didn't have to close down at all. I believe it was you and Pine River School for Young Learners was about the only two that didn't have to close down. John, am I missing a school? I feel like I'm missing a school.
Maple Grove didn't have to close.
Yep, Maple Grove. So, and you obviously have the biggest capacity of everybody in the school district. So definitely want to congratulate you guys on that one.
Well, and we were able to do some kind of creative things that we can get away with because we have older kids. So we have like how we use our LGI and how we've used our field house and stream things back. So if a teacher was quarantined and you can't find a sub and you're in elementary school, that's a real problem. You are closing. If you're here, a teacher's quarantined, they can stream back, and we can accommodate those things. So I can't take all the credit for that, but I will say, and I shared this with our students throughout, especially during Teacher Appreciation Week, to thank teachers, because the stuff that they did this year was remarkable. I didn't teach a class. I didn't stream anything, and neither did Dr. Sample. But a lot of people did, and they were doing things in multiple formats at the same time so we could stay open and kids could stay on track. And so credit goes to our teachers for making that happen. I just put people in the field house on certain days, which was the plan B, but I mean, that's what we had to do. And it worked out. And so hopefully we can end that practice in fall. And, but we're happy that we were able to stay open. And so thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, John, Teacher Appreciation Week did happen. What was that? About a few weeks ago? 2 weeks ago. And the kids did come around, and they even gave some of us IT workers some appreciation and just said thanks for everything you do for us to make us look good, to keep us moving. So I do want to send that appreciation back to them. That was very thoughtful of them.
Yeah, and it kind of marks their personalities. The staff appreciation was a week-long celebration, as it should be, and very, very well deserved. Everybody's just gone the extra mile.
Yeah. So, John, do we got anything else that we need to do before we wrap this up? I think we're pretty well set.
I think we're pretty well set. The only other one that we did recognize last night was Amelia Scavera, and she finished 1 year as the student rep on the board, and she'll be with us again next year. So I think that was about it. Lots of stuff going on, but it's an exciting time of the year. So I'm looking forward to all of the things we just talked about.
Absolutely. And obviously next episode, John, will be our final virtual episode of Bluejay Chat. We'll go back into the studio after that. Social distancing, masked, and all that, most likely, depending on how we're feeling in July. But so next month, we have a very special guest who's been very, very busy lately.
We do. And who is that?
Eddie Then.
He's been busy, and yeah, and being face to face, that'll be different. I'll wear deodorant, and I'll wear earrings maybe.
Well, John, next episode is still virtual, so it'll be July when we go back to in studio.
Oh, for July, okay. I'll make it a point to mark my calendar for July then.
And at that point, I don't even think we have any guests lined up for July yet, so we'll have to discuss that then too.
Yeah, sounds great.
So, all right. Is there anything else, Shannon, that you'd like to say before we head off? Or
no, it's been a challenging year, but it's been a great year, and at every level in our district, I think people have done an amazing job. Students, staff, everybody, and it's just been a great year, and we're looking forward to getting back to normal next year, I'm assuming, and we'll see what that looks like, and we're excited for that, and some good opportunities coming.
As long as the summer stays as good as the spring's been so far to us.
Yeah.
John, any last thoughts before we head off for today?
Nope. Thank you to Mr. Murray for all that he's done as the leader of the building. He's got a fantastic team and a great group of students over there. So looking forward to seeing you on the stage at Senior Awards Night and, of course, graduation.
Yeah,
all right.
Thank you.
So one last quick little thing, scheduling things. So live stream for Senior Awards Night starts at 7 p.m., correct, Mr. Murray?
I believe it's 6 p.m. Everything's 6 p.m.
6 p.m. Okay. So
yep. Grand March is 6 p.m. Senior Awards Night 6 p.m. Graduation 6 p.m. Everything's 6 p.m.
All right, 6 p.m. the 26th for Senior Awards Night. 6 p.m. the 28th for graduation. Live streams will start Facebook, YouTube. You'll find all the links everywhere, basically. Just look at Merrill Area Public Schools, and I'm sure you'll find the links for those.
Yep.
So, all right. So once again, for Dr. John Sample, for Shannon Murray, this is Nathan Meyer signing off for Bluejay Chat. Have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, guys.